Hello and welcome to Kapaun Mt Carmel, home of your Crusaders. And we'll get right into the 2023 basketball season with the starting lineup. Starting out for North High is Taryn St. Clair, number 1. And for KMC, the point guard, number 2, Tilly Jones. And next up for North High will be number 5, Gordon. And next up is the senior leader of this team, number 5, Sophia Gemino. Now at small forward position for North High will be number 12, Rhiannon St. Clair. And number 12 for Kapaun Mt Carmel, Lizzie Romer in the starting lineup tonight for KMC. And now number 13 for North High, Hill. And now number 13 for KMC will be Maddie Spears, the sophomore. And Wilkie, number 44, going to round out the lineup for North High. And now your final starter for KMC will be the sophomore forward, number 15, Lauren Keiss. And so, as you already probably know, I'm Gabriel Breinbach, the voice, play-by-play voice of Kapaun Mt Carmel. Here with me tonight is Mr. William Hebert.
Hey, Gabe, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm very excited for the 2022-2023 basketball season, and I think it's going to be an exciting matchup here tonight. A lot of exciting new talent for KMC as 2 new starters enter the lineup, Maddie Spears and Lauren Keiss. And so what do you think we're going to expect from them here tonight?
Well, I mean, you got a lot of girls out there who are just getting into their first varsity, minutes. So you've got a lot of girls that are trying to prove themselves and kind of show what they're made of. I think that's a big indicator of – it's going to be a big indicator how this game starts.
And it looks like Kapaun's going to get the tip off right away. And some new uniforms for Kapaun, it looks like. Very nice way to start the season. And now a near jump ball heads out of bounds. And it looks like it will stay at Kapaun's end of the court. And it looks like Sophia Germino will inbound. And, I mean, first thing I notice here, Mr. Hebert, is that it looks like North will have possession. They will have their first offense possession of the game. But as I was saying, there's no, except for Wilkie, there's not a real center presence out on that court right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you've got Lauren Keiss and you've got Lizzie Romer out there who are kind of guards in kind of post bodies, at least in height. So I think it's going to be interesting about how Kapaun is able to rebound 1 and 2 defend the interior.
And now Romer guarding St. Clair. Gordon has it. She kicks it over to Taryn St. Clair. Looks to reset a little bit. Now she drives. In trouble finds Wilkie. And now to reset, it looks like that's Rhiannon St. Clair. And North having trouble trying to get it in there to Wilkie. And Kapaun doing a great job of really keeping the ball out of the post. And I think that's going to be a key, as we kind of mentioned earlier. Wilkie's really the only center presence, as Lizzie Romer starts off the season for Kapaun with a big corner 3, gives them an early lead. But as I was saying, Wilkie being the only center presence, you can kind of see the young Lauren Keiss pushing her out as much as possible, trying to get her out of the post, just allowing, forcing, for North to pass it around the exterior and not, allowing any interior penetration. And so that'll be good. Now Lizzie Romer tests her luck again from 3. This time it's going to be off the mark and rebounded by Wilkie. Now up the court. Let's see what St. Clair can do under the rim. She misses it, but she's able to gather her own rebound and goes back up, and she will be fouled. And she'll head to the line for the first free throws of the game. And St. Clair sisters, a big contributing factor to North High the last 2 years. And so let's see what they can do here tonight as her first free throw bounces a couple times, but that is going to be no good. And so she'll have one shot. Trying to get North on the board here. And that one goes through. So now it'll be 3-1. As Sophia Jamino pushes up the floor for KMC. Gordon trailing, and now Romer in the corner kicks it back out to Spears. Spears from 3. That will be no good. Great rebound there by Taryn St. Brown. In trouble. Finds her sister. No, excuse me, finds Hill. Let's get her out of trouble. Now Hill brings it up. She drives. Tries for a runner. That's going to be no good. Rebounded by St. Clair. And it looks like that's going to be taken to the ground by Lizzie Romer. That'll be a jump ball. And will stay at North's end of the floor.
Yeah, I think it's two teams kind of trying to feel each other out here, trying to figure out the speed of the game. I think that's a big aspect of this. But you'd like to see them, they're all playing really hard, they're all going after the ball, and that's really what you want to see in a game one situation like this.
And I mean, another thing I noticed, this is a really fast-paced game so far. There's not a whole lot of dead balls other than the two we just witnessed, but prior to that, there weren't a whole lot of dead balls there. And I think that's really what Kapaun's going to want to do. As we kind of mentioned, they're a small lineup and are mainly composed of guards. And so I think it's going to be important for them to, keep the game moving fast and allowing for a little bit of chaos, so to speak. And it looks like it could have been a kick ball there, but that's going to roll out of bounds off a North body. And now Kapaun will have a chance to reset. And now Sophia Jamino setting up the offense.
Trying to run some of that high ball screen stuff. And it looks like they're running a little bit of a version of flex to a certain degree. And that's meant to really spread out the defense quite a bit, especially when they're in a man-to-man.
And Sophia Jamino's first shot of the season will be off. However, rebounded by Maddie Spears.
And that's going to be a big part of this, especially with the undersized of kind of both teams. There's no real post players out there for either team. And so the guard rebounding is going to play a big factor in this game.
And, like I said earlier, Kapaun definitely has that edge when it comes to, smaller, speedier players. And so when you talk about rebounding, how do you think that's going to play a role?
Oh, I think it's going to come down. Rebounding, as I've always said, it comes down to who wants it. And the guy or the girl, in this case, who's going to go get the ball is 9 times out of 10 going to end up with the ball. It's about 1-2 more than anything. You can teach boxing out, you can teach rebounding tactics and stuff like that, but whoever wants the ball is really going to go get the ball.
And so now as we enter another minute without a score, Kapaun looks to do something on offense. Sophia Jamino kicks it to Maddie Spears. Spears out to Romer. And North with some great man defense on the perimeter, but they seem to be running a more zone defense on the exterior. On the interior, and more man defense on the exterior. As Wichita North takes their first timeout of the game. We'll have 4 remaining.
Yeah, I think this is two coaches trying to fill each other out, trying to figure out what the other coach is trying to do, and then they're talking about how they're trying to counteract what the other team's doing. There's a lot of chess going on in the early stages here, as the girls try and figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work, where they need to be, and that sort of thing. I think this could be a little bit. I don't know who called this timeout, but either coach could really use a timeout here to just kind of settle down. Hey, remember what we're looking for. Remember what we're trying to do. Let's go focus on those things.
And, as a coach yourself, when the game is fast-paced like this, how crucial are those timeouts? You don't want to use them too much because then you run out towards the end of the half or game.
Absolutely. And in the City League on the sub-varsity levels, you only get 3 timeouts. So you got to be very judicious about how you use those timeouts. But, if you've got things reeling out of control, especially early on, you want to nip that in the bud as quickly as humanly possible so that you can fix some of those things right away.
And now foul going to be committed by Rhiannon St. Clair. It'll be her first. And out of that timeout, looks like Phoebe Woffer along with Emily Jacobs check in for KMC as Maddie Spears and Looks like Lauren Kais head to the bench.
And, Emily Jacobs coming in, that's your real first true post player in the game, for Kapaun at least. Someone who could play with their back to the basket pretty well.
And now Jamino, shot can be off, rebounded by Gordon. Something I'm seeing Kapaun do pretty well early on is, those interior passes. I mean, they're doing a great job of keeping their eyes up and seeing those passing lanes when they develop. As Wolke, with a nice mid-range shot, ties it all up at 3. And so let's see what Kapaun can do to respond. As now Jacobs finds Romer, and no shot can be called travel.
Was that a shuffle of the feet? I didn't quite see that there.
It looks like maybe, because she didn't take a dribble, of course, so it looks like she might have just caught the ball and then tried to gather herself, which, of course, you can't do. And so, simple mistake. Easy to correct.
These first games are always kind of interesting to see how the refs are going to call it as well, because every offseason these refs get a new emphasis on what they're looking for. And so you start to see some of those things that maybe you don't see called a lot during the year, and you start to see some of that stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. And out of that dead ball, it looks like Sanders, Todd, and Bootsman check in for North. And now right out of the gate, Todd pulls up, and she will get her own rebound, put up another shot, and that one will be no good. Rebounded by Jacobs. Jacobs had Romer, but now it looks like she's going to slow down. And now for Cape, an additional sub is going to be Milson. And now Milson trying to find her way around. As Wofford drives, and no shot, but there will be a foul. And so it'll be taken on the baseline. And now Bootsman, number 33, will pick up her first. Team foul number 2 for North. As now Jacobs kicks it out to Wofford. And now Wofford finds Milson. Milson out to Romer. And, of course, Romer, definitely one of the main offensive threats coming into the season for Cape, and she was an absolute weapon last year, especially from the three-point line. How do you think Cape's going to get to use her tonight and then moving forward in the season?
Well, I think every year you've got to kind of expand your game a little bit. And last year you're absolutely right. She was a knockdown shooter. I mean, I don't know what percentage she shot from three-point line last year, but I know it was above at least 33, so that's pretty good. But she's got to add some more stuff to her game, so I know she's added some stuff in the offseason, and we'll see hopefully some more driving, maybe some post-ups from her that maybe make her a little bit more of a threat from other areas as opposed to just the three-point line.
Completely agree, as now, after a great defensive effort there by Todd, North will take it from the KMC sideline and now heading down to 4. Bootsman has it at the crest. She drives, kicks it out to Sanders. Sanders with a nice mid-range shot, puts North ahead.
Simple drive and kick right there, Drive so that the defense collapses. And then kick to the open man once the defense helps.
And now Jamino sizing up the defense. She finds a lane and drives. That one going to be no good. Rims out. And now North. Now Jamino strips the ball away, and she has an open lane to the basket. This one's going to be no good as well. It is rebounded by Spears as she just re-entered the game. And she will be fouled on her way up. That will be Sanders. And that'll be Sanders' first foul of the game. Team foul number 3. And now Spears on her first free throws of the night. No good on the first attempt. But Maddie Spears had some minutes last season. Definitely going to be expected to have a real role on this team, entering the starting lineup for the first time as she misses the second free throw. Gets her own rebound, however. But now Milson throws over the head of Jamino, and now be out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, you look out on the court, you've got Phoebe Loffer, a sophomore who played sparingly last year. She got some varsity minutes last year. You got Emily Jacobs, who played late in the year. You got Maddie Spears, who played pretty consistently throughout the year. And then you've got a freshman who this is her first varsity basketball game. there's going to be mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen. You really need Jamino to kind of take control over what's going on out there and kind of carry the pace of the game at least.
Now inside the Bootsman, that will be no good. Great job there by Jacobs on the interior presence. And now Bootsman, after a fight for the rebound, will end up with it, and a foul will be committed. Looks like this one's going to be on Wofford. And that'll be her first foul of the night, team foul number 2 for KMC. And now Terrence St. Clair, heads in for Hill. And now Terrence St. Clair will inbound. Gets in Todd. And now Todd fouled. And now Wofford picks up 2 quick fouls. And it looks like she's going to be heading to the bench. As it looks like Kais will re-enter the game. And, you talk about a young team. That's a mistake right there. But now it looks like Tilly Jones in the breakaway, unable to convert on the way, but she will be fouled. She'll head to the line for 2 shots. But, for Wofford, definitely going to be, I don't know about the 6th man, but definitely a key bench presence for KMC, so it's tough to have her pick up those 2 fouls early.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This early in the game, you don't want to give away any easy ones, but you also don't want to hurt yourself. That you have to start playing differently later on in the game, if that makes any sense. There we go.
And it definitely does. Now Jones able to convert on both free throws. And now Sophia Jamino heads off the court. And now
Crusaders adding a little full court pressure here.
And this is something I really like to see from Cape. And last year, as far as the press, it wasn't something that they specialized in. But now, as we mentioned earlier, with the faster lineup, I think it's going to be great. It doesn't work out there, as it looks like Rhiannon St. Clair able to convert on the layup. But, with that faster lineup, I think it's going to be definitely a weapon for KMC on defense.
Absolutely.
And now Spears from the mid-range. That's going to be no good. And out of bounds off the hands of Bootsman. And that will be KMC ball underneath the basket as Romer and Jamino re-enter the game as Milson and Spears exit the court.
Boy, you'd really like to see something easy here. You know what I mean? You need to get something easy here at the end of the quarter. Maybe go into the second quarter with the score tied. Let's see what they come up with here.
Jacobs underneath the basket, and now has to retrieve the pass. Puts up a shot that'll be no good. Rebounded by Bootsman, and now that will be the end of the quarter. Looks like Hill might have been upset with herself there. Didn't realize it was the end of the quarter. But regardless, the score will be 5-7 as we enter into the second quarter of play. What are you seeing from both sides here in the first quarter?
Well, I see, it's always so difficult to simulate like live defense in practice because the girls know each other so well, and so when you see a little bit different kind of pressure than you've seen before, it's a little bit of a shock to the system. I think they've overcome the shock now, and now they've got to find a way to run their stuff through that defense, and I think we're going to see a little bit more scoring in the second quarter now.
I agree. To go along with the scoring, Capen's defense has been pretty solid. Anytime you're giving up 7 points in the first quarter, you're usually celebrating it. But the problem here is the Capen has 5 points, of course. But defending and only giving up 7 points is still something to be applauded for and something to celebrate.
Absolutely, 12 points in the quarter means there's some defense being played. So you got to credit both teams with playing some really pretty good fundamental defense. See a lot of help out there. See a lot of ball pressure, and that's what you want to see in a game, in the first game of the season. Some of that stuff you've been practicing day in and day out. Some of those fundamental things you want to see that in the first game. Absolutely.
Yeah, hopefully, Cape able to get settled, maybe run some more set offense and get something going on that end of the floor. But it looks like North will start with the ball here in the second quarter. Gordon on the wing. She drives, tries to get the baseline, but cut off there by Spears. Great defense.
Great help defense there.
And Cape doing a great job with this zone, really preventing any interior penetration. I mentioned it earlier, not allowing any of those entry passes, but now as North is trying to penetrate from the arc, they're really doing a great job of, as you said, help defense, but just really creating this bubble in the post and not allowing anything to happen. And great defense there by Tilly Jones to knock the ball out once again. And so here North will try from underneath the basket for the second time. Now a screen from Wolke gets Gordon free, but then it's going to be checked out anyway to Ryan St. Clair. Now kicked out to Terrence St. Clair. And so right there, that is one thing I think Kapaun might need to work on defense. The defensive end is these long arching passes that go from one side of the court to the other side of the court. I mean, they are taking place. I mean, granted, they'll be taking place out like 5 or 6 feet beyond the arc, but regardless, you can't be allowing for these high rainbow arcing passes from either side of the court.
Absolutely, but I think that also comes from the defensive scheme that the coaches have set up. I think early in the year, you want to cut down more on drives than anything else. There's a nice drive by Tilly Jones right there.
There we go.
You want to cut down on that as much as possible, and then you start to work your defense out after that. But you want to have your players being able to help so much right now that they kind of limit some of that. They allow some of those longer passes over the top, and then as the season goes on, you start to decrease those and limit those.
And now St. Clair in a little bit of trouble. Gets out to Hill.
And the ball pressure is just so good for both teams right now.
Wolke's shot going to be short off the front iron and rebounded by Kais. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, both teams doing a great job with that interior zone. But something I do like from Kapaun is that they're not limiting themselves to only going through Lizzie Romer or Sophia Jamino. I mean, they're looking for shots from almost every player on the court. And now Jamino drives. That one will be no good.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get contributions from a lot of girls. I mean, you got a lot of girls in this team that can really play. You want to find out what they can do and what they can add to the team. And so I like to see everybody get involved right now. That's great.
And now Wolke with the shot. Doing a great job there, opening it up with those mid-range shots. Now let's see what Jamino can do. Now an interior pass to Romer, good for a basket. Assisted there by Maddie Spears. And now let's see what North can do to respond. And now drive from St. Clair, rims out. And now a slash from St. Clair going to be called. She's not happy about that one.
That ball was all the way in. It somehow popped out.
That's
hit every part of the rim.
I mean, you can see the frustration there. I mean, you can probably speak to this a little bit. I mean, as a college player yourself. I mean, you know, when you're having these games where your shots just aren't going in. I mean, especially when you're the main scoring threat for your team. I mean, what do you turn to?
Oh, if you're looking to see Jamino get going here, you know, and I think what she can do is she's got to figure out what she's being. The defense can't take away everything, so they've got to pick and choose what they're taking away. So whatever they're taking away, they're giving you something. Use that to your advantage. It looks like they're giving her the drive right now. It looks like they're finding a way to cut her off from the three-point line and make her put the ball on the floor. But she's going all the way every time. I think it's one of those things where she could maybe work the mid-range a little bit, maybe see a couple baskets go in, and then that starts to get your confidence up a little bit more in the other aspects of the game. And especially change the way the defense plays a little bit on you too.
Exactly.
It's a solid rebound there by Tilly.
And now Tilly, one of the few remaining starters from last year. And now, shot going to be no good. Rebounded there by Ross. Now Ross works up the floor for North. Gets over to St. Clair. Now back over to Terrence St. Clair. Now Hill has it the crest. She backs up, resets the offense, and now she tries to drive. And now we see a little bit more of Kapaun getting dragged out a little bit. I almost wonder if that's a little bit more intentional by North.
I'm actually wondering if that's more of a response to the defense that we have, the pressure defense. that we are having as opposed to North's offensive scheme. If that makes any sense, you can affect so much with the defense. You pressure them so much. They're playing their offense out at the volleyball line. It's hard to score from the volleyball line. So the more pressure you can add, the farther out they are, the more chance you have of getting a stop.
Exactly right. As Jones unable to convert on the first attempt.
The only bad thing about that is once you push them all that far out, there's so much more room to work. So it's you're always if you're taking away something, you're always giving up something.
However, with North's leading scorer out of the game, Wolke, definitely one of their main post presence, so they might feel a little more comfortable coming out onto the arc when she's out of the game. But overall, great job by KMC so far here tonight. And, I mean, we talked about how on the offensive end they struggled in the first quarter. But, I mean, they're opening things up in the second quarter, definitely looking to more outlets. And Tilly Jones definitely is opening things up a little bit. She heads to the bench, however. So let's see what the other players can do. Romer, another contributor here tonight, kicks it out to Jacobs.
Looks
now
like
Jacobs.
they're working some ball screen action here, trying to get that roll, but it doesn't seem like they just haven't quite found what they're looking for yet.
And a nice little Euro step goes nowhere, ends up out of bounds as KMC will have it under their own basket. Just great defense by both sides here tonight. I mean, only 18 total points here as we enter the final stages of the first half. And we'll see what Kapaun can do on the inbound.
Oh.
And I will say, on these inbound plays, North does a pretty solid job of not getting distracted by where people are going. I mean, they really do stay home in their zone, and it really creates a little bit of distress for the inbounder trying to find someone open. And so.
Absolutely, and I couldn't tell. I'll keep more eye out. But if they're switching those screens, a lot of baseline out of bounds plays are built up on screening away for somebody. And if they're switching those screens, that's always a little bit tougher.
Exactly. And now Jamina will have an opportunity to get her first line. Her
they
first
call it
points.
travel.
Or no, excuse me. They call it travel?
Yeah. I don't know if they called it on the crossover. I didn't see, but.
Yeah. There he goes. Looks like Jamina will head out in favor of Tilly Jones. As now Jones, another great defensive effort there, knocks the ball out of bounds.
Jones has played some really great defense today. Every pass that's made to her offensive player is pressured and contested. Boy, she's making it really difficult for those North girls to get open.
And now Kais enters the game for Spears. Now loose ball gathered there by Ross, but she's in trouble. Gets it over to Todd. Now Todd up the floor to Gordon. Gordon trying to make something happen. Step back three off the backboard and in. Wow. An impressive shot there by Gordon to open things up for North High. And let's see what KMC can do to respond now. Down by 3. Entering the final 3 minutes. As Romer's layup off the mark. Rebounded by Bootman. Now great defensive effort once again by Jones. You're going to say she stepped out of bounds, however, and so still will be North ball. But, man, Jones being an absolute hound of the ball on every single play. And it really shows you why she's a returning starter. And so as a coach, Mr. Hebert, I mean, which one do you see as more valuable on the team level? I mean, a great defender or a great scorer?
Well,
Tilly Jones trying to prove she can do both there.
I think it's one of those things where, you can teach an offense, you can teach 5 guys how to put the ball in the basket. You can't always teach 5 guys how to play really hard defense, how to have that want to go challenge it. I mean, if you're watching Jones tonight, that's willpower right there. That's just effort. That's just making every play a challenge for her opponent. And that's either something you kind of have or something that you kind of don't have. It's hard to teach that to a kid, if that makes any sense.
All right. Understand you completely there as now Jones draws a foul. That will be the 7th team foul for North And that'll be Gordon's first personal. That sends Jones to the line for 1-1. First one going to go through the hoop. That brings Jones' total to 3 and cuts the North lead just down to 2.
But, Capen's gotten some opportunities from the free throw line. They haven't quite capitalized in the way maybe they wanted to, but they've gotten there, and that's always a good sign. If you get to the line, that usually means good things are happening.
And so, right now, Kapaun shooting 3 for 8 from the free throw line so far. And so not exactly where you want to be, just over 30%. That being said, that's always something you can improve upon, and that's usually something you see develop later in the season.
Oh, absolutely. I know that you've got a bunch of girls who've already played varsity basketball out here already, but, hey, I'm telling you, there's still some nerves. Nice block by Lizzie Romer right there. Good help.
And now Romer in trouble. Gets a little ball screen there from Kais. And now Romer going to bring it up the court. And something that we might get to see a little bit more from Romer here this season was a great pass there from what looked to be Pfister. Gets it inside to Kais as she converts on the layup, ties it all up at 12. But as I was saying, Romer has really been relied upon for her post play. And it looks like foul going to be drawn. Now it'll be Jacobs. Her first personal, team foul number 4 for Kapaun. But as I was saying, she's been more used as, maybe a 3 forward, but mostly as an interior presence. But, she has the shooting capabilities of a guard, as Jacobs able to get the rebound after the bootsman's shot.
She's not a bad ball handler either.
Yeah,
she
exactly.
A little bit. And one of her goals is to go on and play college basketball. Well, she's not going to be a post player. She's going to be a guard. She's got to be able to handle the ball a little bit, and this is a great place for her to develop those skills. McCoy Pfister is making some great decisions out here. She just made a pass on that pick and roll, and she made the pass before the roll even happened. She threw it to open space, and Lauren Kais just went and grabbed it. That's a great look out of a young basketball player for Kapaun.
And definitely something they're going to be looking towards a lot, as this is a very young program, as you mentioned earlier, and definitely some exciting prospects coming down the pipeline for KMC. And not even down the pipeline. They're going to be out on the court a lot this season. And great job there by Jacobs to fight for the rebound. And now Sophia Jamino has 10 seconds to work with.
Oh, good
She
look.
kicks it out. That's going to be Pfister on the 3. She is fouled on the 3-point shot. And so we will see her head to the line for 3 shots with an opportunity to head into halftime with the 3-point lead.
Great look by Jamino there, just being aware of what's going on in the court and realizing that she doesn't have quite the numbers to take it to the rim and pitch it up ahead for an open shot for Pfister. But that's one of those things where that's a tough closeout. You want to get there in time to challenge the shot, but you really don't want to foul.
Yeah.
So tough situation.
And unable to convert on the first 2, that will mean Kapaun officially is shooting 30% from the free throw line here in the first half. Let's see if Pfister can improve that percentage with this shot. And typically in these late situations is Pfister able to convert on that free throw, but usually you see them pull, or you see whoever the shooting team is pull their rebounders to get back on the defensive end, but there it looks like Graf maybe anticipating maybe something running in the backcourt. Regardless, we will end the first half with Kapaun up by 1, score 13-12. And overall, great defensive half from both teams, but pretty solid overall basketball from Kapaun Mt Carmel, especially to head into the locker room with the lead.
Yeah, after being down, I don't know what it was. It was 7-9 a couple times, down 2 a couple times, and really, the ball not really falling in the basket as much as they had hoped. And obviously from the free throw line, you got to be happy with going into a lead in the halftime. That's always a plus. But I guarantee Coach Graf has got some adjustments to make for the second half.
Exactly, and anytime you give up, you kind of mentioned this in the first half or first quarter. But anytime you end the first half with only giving up 12 points, you got to be celebrating on the defensive end of things. And then maybe not too thrilled with the 13 points on the offensive end, but overall great effort there by Kapaun Mt Carmel. And Mr. Hebert mentioned this earlier, but, I mean, Kapaun still getting to the line as much as possible, and that's what matters as we enter the second half. And so we will step aside as the KMC Pommies will now perform. And we will join you for the second half of action in about 15 minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kapaun Mt Carmel for the second half of action between Kapaun Mt Carmel and North High School. And we'll see what the Lady Crusaders can do. Entering the second half up by 1, and they try to get something going, and it looks like Gordon there to stop the press break. And then now on the defensive end, we'll see what Kapaun can do to stop North. I mean, that is a great job there by the post players from North. This is the first time we're really seeing Bootsman and Wolke on the floor here in the game. I mean, they maybe came in sparse moments in the first half, but them in the post together is going to be a problem for Kapaun Mt Carmel, as you see there. But Lizzie Romer able to respond with an and one basket, and it looks like Rhiannon St. Clair going to pick up her first personal foul, first team foul of North in the second half.
Boy, you really like to see that's a great cut by Romer right there. And she caught it, knew exactly what she was going to do with it. Great pass. It's good offense right there.
And now Romer unable to hit on the free throw. She tries from three-point range after the Sophia Gemino rebound. This one, however, going to be off the mark as well. And that'll be rebounded by Rhiannon St. Clair. And now she'll pass it out to Gordon as she brings it up the court. Back out to Hill. Hill drives. Back out to Gordon. Now Gordon in the corner in trouble. Dribbles out. Gets it out to Bootsman. Bootsman unable to convert. That's going to be an air ball. And now Sophia Gemino with the rebound. She tries to turn it up the court rather quickly. Finds Romer at the other end of the court. And Romer slows things down. Kicks it out to Spears. Spears from three-point range. That's no good. Tilly Jones underneath the basket with the rebound. Too far underneath it, though. Couldn't get back out to make the layup. And now Gemino to reset. And we see Kapaun moving pretty fast here on offense. Not saying that they didn't do that in the first half. That's going to be definitely something they're gonna look forward, or look to do going forward, I should say, excuse me. As that opens things up, allows for a lot more movement on the defensive part, and that, maybe it allows for some bad matchups, opened up the screen game a little bit more. As a little dump-off pass from Gemino opens things up for Spears. Spears gets her first basket of the season and bumps the Kapaun lead up to now 3, as Kapaun leads 17-14. And now North, both teams opening things up in the second half with some great offense. I mean, we just saw 6 points scored in the first minute, and we only saw 18 total points scored heading into the final stage of the first half. So definitely going to be more offense from both sides here as we enter into the third quarter of play. And now a pass intended for Wolke will be intercepted by Jones. Jones with another great defensive play there. And we'll see what Jones can do.
Still running the flex, looking for that flex cut, and then the down screen to pop out. Really, in this offense, that's where you're going to get your looks on, are that pop out from the down screen.
And now Romer able to hit from 3. That gives her 10 on the night and bumps the Kapaun lead up to 6. Largest lead of the game for either team. And now North High will take their second time out of the contest. They'll have 3 remaining. And Kapaun really showing that they went to the locker room with, the intent of, opening things up on offense, diversifying the offensive side of the court, and they've done just that. And they've done a great job of it.
It looks like the emphasis kind of was in the locker room was, hey, run your stuff, run your offense, get your rotations going down, and then when you get an angle, go compact that defense, and then kick out to open shooters or dump off to post players, draw some help defense and kick. And we've seen that a couple times. You had a nice drive where she dumped off to Maddie Spears for a wide open layup. And you had another drive and kick out to Lizzie for the 3. That's great offense like that. It's very hard to guard.
And so you've mentioned it a couple of times now, but for those people listening at home that maybe aren't as familiar with the terminology, can you explain the flex offense, I should say, a little bit better?
Oh, flex is one of those like standby offenses that's been around for like 150 years. Basketball's been around long, but it's been around for forever. It's a staple that a lot of coaches use, but they generally will put their own twist on it. But it's just a continuity offense that gets your players running through all 6 positions on the court. I mean, you're going to play every position through that offense. It's not just a post and guard offense. It's a lot of screens, it's a lot of cutting, and then you're just trying to get the matchups that you're looking for more than anything.
And with that, we'll see North with an interesting offensive look here. Not a whole lot of movement. And now that's Pfister with the steal. Little rainbow pass over the top to Romer. Gets her down the court, however. Looks like a little bit of an entanglement underneath the basket as Terrence St. Clair able to snatch away the ball, but she steps out of bounds, so Kapaun will have a chance underneath their own basket as Pfister will inbound. And now
they figured some stuff out on their out-of-bounds plays. It looked like they struggled a little bit in the first half for getting easy looks out of the baseline.
And we talked about it a little bit in the first half, at least on that play in particular. You kind of see the North players move with their offensive assignments a little bit more. They move with their defensive assignments a little bit more. In the first half, we really saw North on those inbound plays not move at all, really stay home in that zone. And so I think that might have complicated things a little bit more. I mean, when you're running, a play that's very reliant on screens and opening things up, well, if you screen a player that's not moving, it doesn't really do much. I mean, they're still not going to be moving.
Right.
And so.
And especially if they're switching, it looks like they're switching a lot of these screens. Good.
Nice find by Romer to the interior post. And Maddie Spears able to convert with a little shot off the block.
Looks like that was just kind of a miscommunication on the defensive end. Just you kind of forget who you're guarding, forget where you're going. You lose focus for a couple seconds and you really pay for it.
And now Bootsman unable to convert there. And it'll be a jump ball. And so we'll see what KMC can do now with a different lineup as Jacobs. Wofford and Jacobs will play the game. And Jamino, really the main offensive weapon for Kapaun last season, is still scoreless. But I mean, she's still been a great job, done a great job facilitating the ball, been a great defensive presence for Kapaun. As Romer knocks out another mid-range jumper. Wow, that gives her 12 on the night.
What a great decision there by Lizzie. She came off that screen, looked for the pick and roll, didn't see what she liked, but also saw a wide open shot if she were to pull up. Then she goes down the other end and gets a nice rebound.
Physical play on the ball there. She gets up to Pfister. Pfister with the and one layup. And things really getting hot here for Kapaun. As now Pfister will go to the line for an and one opportunity.
Looks like North's going to call a timeout and kind of regroup a little bit after this really nice start by Kapaun. Midway through the third quarter, they kind of turned things on a little bit.
And so as I was talking about earlier, Sophia Jamino is maybe not doing the best so far in this game. Definitely still has time to open things up. But what are your favorite attributes that Sophia exhibits as a player, from the coach's standpoint? Not only as a coach, but as a player. What are some things that Sophia does, or certain aspects of her game that really impress you?
Oh, well, Sophia's a competitor. Sophia wants to take on every challenge every single time, and that's something like we talked about earlier. You cannot coach that. The competitiveness is either there or it's not. And Sophia wants to go out and she wants to beat her opponent every single time, and that's probably her greatest quality. It doesn't hurt that she's a superior athlete. She's a two-time state champion javelin thrower. That doesn't hurt. She can really shoot it. Sometimes that shooting kind of takes a little while to get going. She golfed during the fall, so I think that it's a little bit to get back into it a little bit. That shooting can go away really quickly, and it takes a little bit for it to come back. But she's a leader on this team. That's what's going to help this team more than anything is her experience. This is her fourth year. She's been a starter for this will be her fourth year. That experience is invaluable. That was a deep.
And Todd.
Deep three.
Wow. Really expanding the offense there with that heat check. And that goes in and brings the Cape End lead down to 10 again. And that's going to go right back up to 12 with the Jamino way up. Her first points of the season.
I love it. Todd stepped up there and shot it like she knew that ball was going in. She had no doubt. That looked like a shot that she had taken a million times. She may have started running back down the court before she even saw it go in. What a great shot.
But, not to, focus on Sophia Jamino too heavily here. I mean, we mentioned that she plays golf in the fall. Of course, now a three-time state champion in golf, two-time state champion in track, looking to get the three-peat in that sport as well. And so you got to think she's heading into this season with one goal in mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got them in the other two sports. Why not go get one in the winter sport?
I mean, of course, they made it. Barely were left out of the state competition. Lost in the finals of sub-state her sophomore year against Andover Central. And Sophia Jamino, obviously, in those final minutes against Andover Central, really lit things up.
That was a phenomenal game.
If I remember correctly, I do believe she had back-to-back threes in the final couple of minutes to try to get Cape End back into the game. And sadly, the final seconds did not allow for that. But, regardless, it shows you that Sophia Jamino really out there to compete to the very last second.
Oh, absolutely. That season is kind of what you want a season to look like. They struggled early. They had some letdowns early in the season, but by the end of the year, they were playing their best basketball, and that's what you want. They went up against that Andover Central team either went to the Final Four or they won.
They won.
That's the state championship team, and they played them tight. What a battle that was. What a great game, but that's what you want. So, like at the beginning of the season, this game, the coaches more than anything are trying to figure out what they've got, who they want to play a lot of minutes. They're just trying to feel their team out a little bit as North turns over the ball again against that full court pressure by Cape. And I love that little wrinkle they're throwing in every once in a while. And I love that they're throwing it in every once in a while. It's not every time, but all of a sudden, they're back out here pressing again. It's really causing Lewis some problems.
It is. And I think that's one thing that Coach Graff does a great job of is that's a great screen there by Phoebe Loffer. Wow. Really sunk in her shoes there and knocked over Sanders, it looked like. But great job there. Anyway, as I was saying, I think one of the greatest attributes that Coach Graff exhibits is, when he finds something like the press that's working and he finds that he's, has his opponent back on their heels and he has them kind of in a sort of chaos, he doesn't keep it, he doesn't take his foot off the gas, so to speak. He really keeps pushing, keeps finding ways to irritate his opponent. You even see it here on the offensive side of the court. North starting to make some more mistakes. And, those mistakes start to pile up. When your offense is flowing well, you're doing well on the defensive end, those mistakes can kind of, not be as apparent. But now another turnover, and Lizzie Romer able to convert on the other end. Gives her 16 points. But as I was saying, those mistakes can kind of get covered up by, decent play. But, when those mistakes become, almost every possession occurrence, it can really cause problems. Yeah. And so we'll see what North can do. Now down by 16 points.
What was our score at halftime?
13 to 12.
Holy moly.
And so both teams definitely doing better on the offensive side of the court. And now Romer going to have to chase on the pass. She gets there. Layup no good. Had to kind of reach back around, try to get the ball up. Anyway, it's not going to be good.
But now, the ball back.
Wow. Great defensive effort there by Romer. Now ball comes out again. On the floor, this time gathered by Sanders. Now up the court to Hill, Now Todd. Todd pulling up again from deep. That is good. Wow. The confidence exhibited by Todd tonight is unparalleled. Wow. Gives her 6 on the night.
As a shooter, that is the best feeling in the world if you can step into one like that. You catch it, nobody around, you can take one dribble, take a couple steps, step right into it. There's no better way to get your rhythm down. That is the best feeling.
And, I mean, you can speak to as a player and a coach. I mean, how important is it when the player, maybe, when she takes that first shot a couple feet behind the arc, I mean, how important is that it goes in, what kind of confidence do you get as a shooter in particular?
Oh, well, I think there's a lot of different types of players. Some players will really thrive on seeing their first one go down. Some players will, it's not that big of a deal. But once you see one go in, it's a confidence booster for any player. Once you see the ball go through the net, it's definitely a confidence booster. Looks like Kapaun's going to call a timeout here and draw up something for the last play of the third quarter. Let's see what they've got.
Yeah, I mean, definitely doing a lot better in the second half here. Not that they were doing bad in the first half, but I mean, as you mentioned very early on, in the game, both teams were kind of spending most of the first half feeling each other out, trying to counteract what the other was doing. But now Graf was able to go into the locker room at halftime, come out with a very solid game plan, and Kapaun really hasn't had to, compromise too much. And so doing a great job here.
Absolutely. And you got some players that are a little more comfortable out there now. They've been through the first half. The nerves are gone to a certain degree. I think it's more like your practice is paying off a little bit more. It's a little bit more like practice.
And so, I mean, if you're looking at this from the opposite perspective, you're a North High team. I guarantee you, I mean, they probably had the same experience. When they go into the locker room, they come out with a game plan. And so, from a coaching perspective, I mean, what are you going to do when your game plan isn't working? As now Sophia Jamil tries for the last shot, and that'll be good. She knocks that down from the corner three spot, and that gives her 5, and that will end the third quarter of play. But as I was saying, I mean, when you come into, even not the second half specifically, but, when you come into a game and you have a game plan and it just isn't going your way, I mean, what is something you can do to, maybe do you try to fix it? You try to, completely abandon it, try something else? Or, I mean, what's your mentality usually?
Well, I think it's dependent on where you're at in the season. Game one, had we had a game this afternoon that things are just going really, really south, I'm not sure how much I would have bailed on what our plan was, because it's game one. We've only had about 2.5 weeks of practice. We don't know everything 100% yet, and we haven't played against the live defense yet. So game one, I'm probably not changing a whole lot. You get later in the season, your players are understanding what you're wanting more as a coach. They can accept some of those changes a little easier during a game. As a coach, I'm never making big changes in the middle of like a quarter or something like that. I'll make a change at halftime if I need to. But in each half, we kind of are what we are, unless you get down to the end of the season, and then it's all open. You do what you can to win.
Man, Todd, really putting it all out there, now gets it to Ross. Now Ross picks up her dribble. Ooh. And Sophia Jamino able to read that pass, and at the other end of the floor, able to convert. And she will hit the ground hard. Able to get up rather quickly, but man, that's a scary moment for every Kapaun fan. She is the main star on this team.
What a finish. She got hit hard. That's a great finish right there.
And so now Jamino will attempt a single free throw. And we'll see what she can do. That'll be no good. As now Kapaun shooting just under 50%, 17 of 16 from the free throw line. Definitely better than they did in the first quarter, of course, shooting 30% then. And so definitely able to calm down a little bit. When you're a player, you think it's a lot easier to make those free throws when you're up. Just because, there's not as much pressure.
Well, I think it's all muscle memory. And the more you practice shooting free throws, the more you practice shooting those free throws in those pressure situations, those pressure conditions, the more at home you're going to feel out there when the game time comes. But definitely when you're up, it's easier to hit shots. Absolutely.
A nice little post move there by Kais. It's great to see that from a young player. His footwork and stuff like that, especially in the post, that's something you usually develop in your later years. A great job there by the sophomore.
Absolutely.
To show off her skills.
And that looked like pure instinct right there. That looked like she caught it and didn't have to think about what to do. She caught it and then and her body just kind of did what she'd practiced so many times.
And Sophia Jamil tries the reverse layup. She'll be fouled. That was a nice little give and go there by the Crusaders.
Go back to the free throw line, see if we can knock some of these in. I know the coaching staff would love to see that percentage rise a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes, I gotta agree. But definitely, like I said, I mean, it's crazy. You already see the improvement from the first quarter. I mean, anytime you're shooting 30%, there's definitely something wrong. But I mean, to go from 30% to almost 50% in the second half, still not exactly where you want to be, but early in the season, that's still a great sign of improvement.
Absolutely. Well, and as you go on through the game, good shooters will figure out a little bit what they're doing wrong. I know and I'm not a good shooter, but like when I played, I would if I missed the shot, I would go through the fundamental steps of the shot. Am I on balance? Am I elbowing? Am I looking at the right thing? Am I following through? And by the time I got through all 4 of those steps in the next consecutive shots, I'd realized what I wasn't doing. And so then that can fix a lot of things. And maybe it's just a little bit of lack of focus, and maybe in the first half, maybe they've got a little bit more focus on the fundamentals of their shooting form, and that seems to help a little bit.
And great job there on Maddie Spears. I mean, you saw Wolke come up and hold it above her head, and Spears did a great job of getting a clean hand on the ball, ripping it out. And I mean, that can be intimidating at times if you don't want to foul, and you're usually going up against someone who's taller than you. Because usually, I mean, that's a tall player is usually going to feel like over the top of their head is a pretty safe place to put the ball. But great instinct there by Spears to come from an angle where she can get a clean hand on the ball, not make contact, and strip the ball away. As now Kapaun will have another opportunity underneath their own basket.
Great out of bounds play right there. They got a wide open look right in the middle, just couldn't put in the shot.
And now, I mean, just better overall inbounding from Kapaun Mt Carmel here, as you see Romer get open on that shot, unable to knock it down, but now KMC able to get it right back.
North is really struggling with the turnovers right now, and I think because the pace of play has picked up so much, and as the game has gone on, the Kapaun in a sense has gotten more aggressive with their defense, where if they maybe don't score in the half court and they're on the transition back to defense, they're not waiting to get over the other side of the court to play defense. They're immediately playing defense wherever they're at. Yeah,
and I mean, you talk about how the pace of play is significantly increased. Now Spears' shot blocked. It looked like there might have been a little contact there, but regardless, Spears is going to be right back on the ground to get the jump ball. But as we talk about with speed of play, I mean, I don't want to leap out of my bound here too much, but I mean I have to assume that has to do with a little bit of what I talked about earlier. I mean, Kapaun having a smaller lineup, mainly composed of guard, small forwards, and so I think that's to your point. I mean, it's definitely benefited Kapaun on the defensive side of the floor, but on the offensive side of the floor for North, I mean, they have really thrived as now Romer shoots another shot that gets her 18 after that made a layup. But on the offensive side of the floor, in the first half, North was thriving in the post, relying on their post players like Wolke and Bootsman to really get those interior looks. But when you're going up against a team, they're playing fast and they have a smaller lineup, you can't afford to have those bigger, slower players, I feel like.
If you're undersized, a benefit that you have is not as much body mass to carry around. If that makes any sense, I don't know what better way to say it, but generally your smaller, shorter players are going to be a little quicker. They're going to be able to get down the court a little easier. And if you've got a size disadvantage, one way you can counteract that is by going fast and picking up the pace and making everything a sprint. And that can help an awful lot to try and wear down some of those bigger players.
And that's, I mean, yeah, and I think that's really hurt North, especially on the offensive end, like I was saying. I mean, when you take, I mean, you can't, I mean, it's hard when you're playing North or any team with, you have an undersized team, as you said, and you're going up against a team that has posts, and that's really their main avenue to attack on offense. It's harder to, defend that. Just, I mean, if you're defending them straight up, you're obviously at a size advantage. It's harder to stop those interior players. But, I mean, as you said, I mean, you wear those bigger players out. You're taking them out of the game without having to take them. I mean, you're literally taking them out of the game without having to take them out of the game defensively. And so definitely something that Kapaun has benefited from here tonight.
Free throw struggles continue. Oh, good.
Nice one behind the back
good
pass.
hustle.
Now Tilly Jones looks to reset. And now Kapaun's holding this whole thing down with a 24-point lead. Just over 4:40 left to play in the game. And so we'll see Kapaun kind of slow things down here as Jacob drives. She'll head to the line for two. But you mentioned this in the first half. Even when Kapaun was not shooting the ball well from the free throw line, they still drove and they still fought for those fouls. And I think that really shows some resiliency and really some great coaching on Graf's part to really, still encouraging them, keep fighting, still look to draw those fouls. Because, I mean, even if you're not making those shots, you're still putting yourself in a position where you can score points without having any defense really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you always, I mean, you would probably go ask any coach, you always want an aggressive team over a passive team. And so that's why I was really happy to see some of the stuff we saw. Even in the first half, even those free throws weren't falling, they're still going to the rim. They're still trying to create that contact. They're still pushing the issue against the defense. With an offense who's really dictating what's happening as opposed to the defense dictating what the offense does.
And now some substitutions for Kapaun as Milson enters the game once again. And, of course, now Clara Hawker, the freshman, enters the game for KMC, number 33.
Looks like they called a timeout because they were a little concerned about getting the ball across half court. With 4:15 to play here, in a 25-point game, you're really trying to work on some of the stuff that you can't work on in practice. You're trying to work on some of the offensive schemes that you've got going against a live defense. You're trying to continue working on your fundamental defense. The pressure probably isn't quite as high as it was earlier. It's just hard to play that hard when you're up 25. But we'll see how these girls react to the situation now. Looks like we got they're freshmen.
Yeah, and Clara Hawker, great athlete. Definitely on the tennis court. I actually played a few matches with her in the summer league in the mixed doubles category, and she has a great mentality as a player, and I'm really excited to see her out on the basketball court. Definitely a big team player. Of course, she thrived on the doubles court during the tennis season. But regardless, I'm a great athlete, great teammate. So I'm very excited to see what she can do on the court for the Lady Crusaders.
Gabe, as we're in the off season here for tennis for you, how is the off season going for you? Are you progressing in the way you want? Tell us a little bit about the off season for you.
So the off season for tennis is a narrow window, really only occupying maybe 2 months. November, December are kind of when. Because I mean, you're obviously in season from February up until May, and then really. Most players in June and July will continue to play in summer leagues, and even into the fall, for the most part, you'll go to some tournaments. Sadly, towards the end of the summer season in July, I got hurt, had to rehabilitate an injury, and then had some illnesses, and so I've definitely been on the court. Just I've had to come back to it slowly, but I mean it's still been exciting. Definitely excited to see what I'll be able to do. On the doubles court this season, hopefully with Zach Herman.
Zach Herman, okay.
Yeah, and we definitely lost a lot of pieces this year, as now Looks like a pass intended from Wilson, goes out of bounds. But we also had pieces here. I mean, we definitely had a lot of seniors on the team last year. Trevor Sweat was a big one, our #1 singles, and our #1 doubles team, Jonathan McElvain and Gavin Bargava. All of those placed top 10 in the state. We have some key returning pieces as well. Of course, Jack Judkins, great singles player. I mean, was once newcomer of the year on the USTA circuit.
Okay.
And so we've got some great players there. And we've got some up-and-coming players. We got Ben Scognamillo, who'll be a junior this year, along with Henry Algie. Great. He was ranked 20th in the up-and-coming players on the Genesis polls.
A couple all-league soccer players there, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you see that a lot in tennis, especially. I mean, tennis, people kind of, forget that it is a lot of running. I mean, there's not a moment. I mean, a lot of coaches will tell you that one of the biggest flaws with a lot of players is that they stop their feet. I mean, there really shouldn't be any stopping your feet on the tennis court, and so that's obviously something soccer players can relate a lot to. You're running almost 24/7 in soccer, and so I think that's why a lot of soccer players thrive on the tennis court. But that can also help people on the basketball court. You see Clara Hawker with the ball now. I mean, she's going to go out and, she's coming right out of her tennis season, so she's going to be in pretty good shape, and she's going to be able to put in all 40, I guess in high school it's 32 minutes out on the court, and so I think that's a great attribute that a lot of tennis players have. And then real quick, here's some other substitutions for KMC. It looks like Sanders, #3, heading in for KMC, along with Jesse Kemp, #10. And, of course, the transfer student, #25, Alicia Thorpe. She comes over from the East. She was a key contributor on the East team last year. And some great ball handling by Clara Hawker. We just got done talking about her. But, I mean, another thing you talked about, as you enter these final minutes, it's an opportunity for you to put some of your younger talent out on the court. And this is going to be a key component of the KMC team, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, this is a very young team.
Oh, absolutely. This is the opportunity for some of those JV varsity tweeners. You know what I'm talking about? Like those floaters who kind of play both. This is where they get the opportunity to impress their coaches. Say, hey, coach, see how hard I'm playing out here? I want a couple more minutes. See what I can do out here. Give me a couple more minutes. This is their opportunity to go do that. So this is good to be able to have this. The coaches really enjoy this chance to see their girls that don't maybe get as much time as other girls to see how they go against some live competition and see what maybe they can do, see what maybe they can contribute down the road.
And as the coach of the freshman team yourself, I mean, when you're developing young talent, what are some of the things you look for? What are some of the things you're trying to implement, or encourage?
Oh, yeah. There's a couple things that, I always look for. I mean, I always want kids who are going to work really, really hard. I want kids who are going to be able to listen to what their coaches say and take some of that advice to heart and go work on some of that stuff. You also want kids who can go work in the offseason. Just like we were talking about with tennis, teams get better generally throughout the season, right? But your individual players will get better during the offseason. That's where they really put in their enthusiasm. So you want those kids who take it seriously enough that they're going to go work in the offseason, and then generally that carries over to the actual season.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me as we entered halftime with Kapaun leading 13-12 that we would see the Crusaders on the brink of 50 and now score 49-20. I mean, just an absolute offensive explosion for the Crusaders here. As Kites looks like she'll head to the bench for the final time tonight as Wofford re-enters the game. But regardless, I mean, what were some things you saw Kapaun adjust that really allowed for the offense to produce what it did?
Well, I think it was just a focus on what they're trying to look for offensively. I think it was kind of a mad dash to Sadie Sanders with a couple points right there. Nice job for her. Good offensive rebound. I think more than anything it was the focus. What are we trying to look for? What are we trying to get out of our offense? I think that's a lot of it.
And now shot can be off the mark, rebounded by Jesse Kemp. And wow, some good dancing there. However, that will not end out of bounds. Great job by Wofford to pick up the ball off the ground. And Wofford able to convert on the way up. And North players looking a little frustrated as they will dribble out. It looks like the final seconds. And no, let's see what they can do on offense, as that's Hare Kicks it back out to Ross. Ross drives, puts up a shot, and that'll be no good as the final second of regulation tick off the clock. Final score 53-20. And we will step aside and resign for the girls basketball game. Thank you for tuning in to Kapaun Mt Carmel basketball. That being said, we will have another live game for the girls on Tuesday, December 6th, I believe. And once again, it's final score 53-20. And I've been Gabriel Breinbach.
And I'm Will Hebert. Thanks for having me.
We'll be back in about 20 minutes with the boys' game.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we thank you for the gift of this day, and we thank you for each of the young athletes that you brought here tonight, for the gifts and the skills that you blessed them with. We ask you to bless them tonight, to keep each of them safe from injury and harm. Allow them to play with the true spirit of sportsmanship, that what they do tonight on the court can truly give you honor and glory, and draw each of them closer to you. We ask all this as we pray the words that you yourself have taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Our Lady of Mount Carmel, pray for us. Father Kapaun, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please remain standing for the national anthem. To sing the national anthem tonight is Keep Out Our Born Promise.
Hello and welcome to Kapaun Mt Carmel, home of your Kapaun Mt Carmel Crusaders, who come into tonight to open out the season with a game against North High School. And Sophia, very exciting game. We'll get right into the starting lineups here.
Alrighty. And for the North High, first up 6'1", first up senior number 1, Jacob Wassel.
And first up for KMC will be senior 6'2" guard Dominic Shibley, number 3.
And next up for the North Redskins, number 12, Joshua McCoy.
And at point guard for Kapaun Mt Carmel will be number 4, William Thingbaugh.
And the 5'8" senior guard for North, number 14, Julian Banuelos.
And sophomore guard number 21, Corbin Johnson, entering the starting lineup for his first time.
And next up for the Redskins, 6'4", number 20, Jack Hopping.
And starting at the center position for KMC here tonight will be number 22, Tegan Charles.
And rounding up the lineup is number 30, Gabriel Herta.
And running out the lineup for KMC will be senior number 24, Maxwell Keller. And so, Sophia, Kapaun obviously had a very successful season last year, only losing one game in the regular season. And obviously lost in the
Yeah.
first round of the state playoffs to Topeka Seaman. Looking to repeat that performance here this season. And I'm going to be pretty excited to see what they can do here tonight.
Yeah, kind of tough going out last year for the Crusaders. However, they're looking to bring it back. Got a lot of returners. Of course, missing those seniors, Luke Porter, Isaac Schmitz, and Henry Thangval. However, you got a good team here that's been playing together, building that chemistry.
And another notable thing about tonight's game is that Senior Bowl Antio will be missing tonight's game. Suffered an ankle injury that will cause him to miss tonight's game and most likely next week's game, at least starting out, as Kapaun goes, or actually they will not go on the road. They'll play Southeast here on December 6th. Join us for that game. Now we'll get right into things after an interesting tip-off as Corbin Johnson's first shot will be off the mark, as number 30, Gabriel Huerta, able to get the rebound. Now Wassel trying to set things up on the offensive end of the court. And now we'll see what McCoy can do. And North doing a great job of moving things around out of the gate. Great pass there by Wassel. And Sophia, what do you think North is trying to do here? Moving pretty fast as Wassel hits. Wow, that is an interesting shot.
Yeah.
We'll open things up here, but North moving very fast, passing the ball around a lot. What do you think they're trying to achieve with that?
I think they know Kapaun is a very aggressive team, but they're just trying to play him quickly, do what they can do best. I think it'll work if North continues to keep up the pace of the game, kind of throw Kapaun off there.
And now a three, no good from Buenuelos. And now down the court, it looks like that's going to be a block. Wassel trying to draw the charge there, but Thangval going to be heading to the line for 2 shots. First free throws of not only the game, but of the season for KMC. And first one off the mark. And Sophia, free throws, especially early in the season, often something that teams are going to struggle with. What do you think Kapaun's mindset should be heading into this game as far as that?
Yeah, it's one of those things you kind of don't focus too much on that preseason. You're trying to get the offenses, the defenses, all those things going. But free throws are free points, obviously, and so really important, especially in the beginning of the season, to use those opportunities to get those extra points.
Dominic Shibley goes up for the dunk, but can be fouled on the way up, and so he will not be able to convert there, but he'll head to the line for 2 shots. First and free throws, as we were just talking about. Great defensive play there by the senior. And Sophia, maybe something you can't relate to, not to be offensive, but as far as, going for a dunk versus going for a layup, as a player, what do you think is going through their mind? Again, not to offend you, but
I've never gone up for a dunk, but
you think you could get there?
Maybe one day. Probably not. But the dunk is really exciting. But there's, especially, this early in the game, the defense is coming on you. It's really important. Just try to get those layups. Make the easy play. Obviously, it's really cool to get a dunk. It's good stuff. But trying to make that easy play, especially this early on in the game with, the game tied, is important.
And I agree completely. To a certain extent, you got to get the points when you can. You can't worry too much about how you get them. And great pass out of that trap there. And huge block by Will Thangval. Wow. And now Tegan Charles kicks out to Maxwell Keller. A little no-look pass, opens up the three-point shot. That's going to be no good. Will Thangval able to convert there on the and-one shot. And so he has 4, looking to get 5. Or no, excuse me. He has 3, looking to get 4. My apologies. He split at the free throw line his first attempt, so let's see if he can knock one down here.
Yeah, and good to see Will Thangval back in the action, as he had a broken foot all football season, and so now he's healed up, and he looks to be moving pretty well out there.
Kapaun looking to get things going on offense, and they've done a pretty good job, but on defense, they're doing a great job, and they're right there with their offensive production. So, Sophia, on the defensive side, Kapaun doing a great job of switching with the help defense. As a player, what are you thinking as far as help defense? What are your thoughts?
Help defense is absolutely crucial. as my Coach Graff always tells us, is you're not guarding a man, you're guarding the ball, and that's the most important thing you need to remember. And so that's why help defense is super important, and just being there for your teammates.
And Joshua McCoy able to knock down that three to tie things up, and now Corbin Johnson kicks out to Will Thingville. Will Thingville for three. That is good. Will Thingville with the response. And Sophia, sorry I'm picking your brain here, but I mean, more thoughts coming to my mind. And so, when your opponent goes down and scores a three, and maybe it ties it up, or maybe from the North perspective, you just went down by three. Are you looking to get right back and shoot a three on the other end, or are you just sticking to what you have?
I think they kind of want to slow things down. They started out really quickly. That seemed to work a little bit for them. But they can't rush and force any shots, because if they go down and try to force that three, it isn't going to end up good. So just playing their game, playing at a good pace will be helpful.
Now Max Keller and Will Thingville head to the bench as Bo Dalian and Brooks Powers head into the game for Kapaun Mt Carmel. And Sophia, we're getting to see a lot of new faces as Tegan Charles loses his shoe, able to get it back on. But however, Kapaun has a lot of young talent. Yes, they have senior stars like Will Antio and Dominic Shibley, but for the vast majority of the minutes, most of those lineups on the floor are going to be younger players. As Bo Dalian able to knock that layup down and brings Kapaun lead to 5.
Especially Corbin Johnson, number 21. He got in a little bit towards the end of the season last year, making some big plays just as a freshman, but now a sophomore, really able to make a statement, starting here. And he's been a great player as long as I can remember, as we grew up together. And so absolutely awesome to see him on this court. And he's super aggressive. He has a lot to offer to this team.
And I agree with you fully in that evaluation of Corbin Johnson. He's been great so far here for Kapaun Mt Carmel. And Sophia, I think one thing about his freshman game is, don't get me wrong, he shot the ball really well and he shot it quite often. But as a freshman, I think to a certain extent you're a little concerned about how much you're shooting the ball. You don't want to upset your coach, don't want to risk your minutes. But I think this sophomore year, as he enters the starting lineup, as Brooks Powers not able to get a shot off, now ends up in the hands of Corbin Johnson. But I think Johnson's going to have a little bit more of a green light to shoot and a little bit more freedom on the offensive end of the floor. You think that's going to give him confidence?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Gabe. You're right. Building trust with your coach is super important, and it's hard as a freshman just because you don't have that time to build that relationship yet. So I know over the offseason, Coach Eck and Corbin getting closer, building that trust, and Coach Eck able to see what Johnson has to offer, and that shows for putting him in the starting lineup just as a sophomore.
As Keller enters the game for Kapaun Mt Carmel, and now on the other end of the floor, a massive block by Brooks Powers. Wow. Caleb Jackson went up for that shot and met Brooks Powers. Just wow, great job by the junior to go up, make sure to get the hand on the ball. Doesn't make any contact with Jackson himself, but does a great job, just all ball, clean block. And now Selman tries to find Wassel on the inside. That'll be knocked out of bounds by Wassel, it looks like, according to the referee. And Kapaun will be heading the other way with it.
Kapaun doing a great job on the defensive end, just being really scrappy, using their big wingspans to help and get some tips and stuff.
And Sophia, with the Kapaun offense, I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw last year, where, you set up majority of your players on the arc, maybe have some of them moving inside to look for interior passes, but it's a lot of, passing it along the arc, looking for an open drive to the hoop or maybe an open entry pass. But that's worked out for them so far. And now on the defensive side, Dominic Shibley gets a steal, gives it up to Maxwell Keller. Maxwell Keller able to score on the breakaway layup. And Sophia, as far as what you're seeing on the offensive side from Kapaun, what are you liking? What are you thinking?
Obviously, they've had to make a little bit of adjustment without Will Ancio being able to, sit down there and go to work down on the block. But all of those guys out there can handle the ball super well, and, they're big guys. And so that serves as a threat to many teams because you got guys like Tegan Charles who can post up down low, Max Keller, kind of a forward position. But all of them can handle the well, and they move really well as a team. And they just have that chemistry so they know how to play together.
And now it looks like a 5-second violation called on Wassel there. And Wassel not happy about that. Thought maybe the ref counted a little early there, but regardless, it'll be KMC basketball. And now Nathan Thingvall and Nathan Wagging both enter the lineup for Kapaun Mt Carmel as Bo Dalian tries to work on the block. His shot's going to be no good. As it looks like someone loses the ball. Now trying to race up court to beat the 10 seconds. And now Jackson gets on the other end. And, the untrained eye, it looks like North is a little uncoordinated here on offense.
Yeah.
They've been able to convert on some opportunities, but it doesn't look like it's a very organized system right now.
Yeah, it does not look like they've truly, getting set up in their offense and getting prepared for that.
As Brooks Powers able to knock a three-point shot down at the top of the key.
And Brooks Powers, one of those guys, he got a little bit of playing time last year. Super aggressive dude, obviously can shoot, as we saw there, and he's going to work as hard as he can whenever he gets in the game.
And now travel going to be called on Selman. On Hopping. And I'll be heading their way. As now Brooks Powers bringing it up for KMC. We kind of touched on this earlier, Sophia. Kapaun is a very deep team. You're going to see a lot of different diverse lineups. And a lot of those don't really include a true center. I mean, of course, you have Tegan Charles, but he can play more of a forward if coach needs him to. And, of course, you have Will Antio, who is always in the starting lineup, and he is a true center, but he has great ball handling skills, great footwork, has a great mid-range shot. And so, you see a lot of lineups that aren't really reliant on a big man presence.
Yeah, I agree. And as we were kind of talking about with the offense, it's really quick-paced, and they're looking to drive and cut and all that stuff. And so sometimes it's almost better if you don't have a big man sitting down there because it clears up the paint.
And now Wassel tries to find Moore. It looks like Moore going to step out of bounds. Kind of lost possession of the basketball there. Regardless, it'll be KMC basketball. And we'll see what the Crusaders can do. Nathan Thingvall has it on the wing. Kicks it into Bo Dalian. Bo Dalian kicks it out to Maxwell Keller. And Maxwell Keller unable to knock down that shot. Moore loses it once again. And Keller trying to get some fancy dribbling. Able to collect himself and get it up the court to Wagging. Wagging over to Powers. Powers out to Thingvall. Nathan Thingvall from three. That is no good. Over the back of the backboard and out of bounds. Now with 21.5 seconds, Sophia, what is North looking to do here?
Trying to get the last shot. They've been struggling, haven't had anything going for them on the offense, and so I think they're just really looking to try to do what they can do in these last 12.3 seconds.
And it looks like ref saw something he didn't like there, a little too physical on the ball, and Maxwell Keller will pick up his first foul, team foul number 5. And so both sides, Kapaun especially heading into the second quarter with 5 fouls. And now it looks like Jackson looking to get something happening on the offensive side as Wassel kicks it over to Hopping. Hopping with 4 seconds, puts up a shot. No good. Now Brooks Powers' shot wasn't quite high enough. Almost hit a cheerleader. But regardless, we'll end the first quarter of play with Kapaun up by 11, score 16-5. And Sophia, what are some things you're seeing from both sides from the court? Very
physical game so far, as you mentioned a little bit, Gabe. Kapaun with 5 fouls already, North with 4, and so that's what you like to see. You like to see a scrappy game, but Kapaun benefiting the most from that, especially on the defensive end. Their defense, getting those steals, creating pressure situations are helping them on the offensive end. And then Northwise, they are it's hard on defense when you have a team like Kapaun constantly moving. It's hard to stop that. And they're not getting a lot of things going on the offensive end, so they need to make a few adjustments and try to play against Kapaun's solid defense.
And so, I mean, if you're North High, Kapaun is definitely speeding up the game quite a lot. I mean, the pace of the game is very intense, very fast. And it looks like North is struggling with that, especially on offense. But, I mean, it hasn't been doing too well. They haven't been doing too well on defense either. And so, I mean, if you're North High, to combat that, I mean, you're trying to slow down the game, or what's your mentality?
Really just trying to play at your own pace will be crucial. It obviously is hard when the other team is going fast and they're making good plays, but trying to be controlled. They have the opportunity and the power to control the pace, especially on the offensive end.
And now Tegan Charles there on the and one play. So he'll head to the line for a single free throw. And I think one of the greatest things that Coach Eck has done with the individual players, especially with those post players, is the footwork. I mean, you see it with Will Antio especially, but Tegan Charles exhibits it just as well, especially when they're in that low block. I mean, we've seen even Maxwell Kellenbow, Dowling, on the low block. I mean, they have tremendous footwork, able to spin, create shots for themselves on the low block. And Sophia, I mean, is that something you have to learn, or is that something just a natural instinct, do you feel like?
I think it's a little bit of both. A lot of these guys, super great players, been playing, their whole lives. But for all three of them that you mentioned, they have great guard skills as well as post skills. So I think a little bit, obviously as younger, most of the time you're a guard. And so I think they kind of developed, had to get some being taught a little bit on to develop those post moves. Will be crucial. But, yeah, all of them do a great job with their footwork.
And now Corbin Johnson re-enters the game along with Will Thingvall and Dominic Shibley. As now Nathan Wigging pulls up for the first time here this season, and he knocks it down. Great look there by the senior, and he's able to convert on his first shot of the night. Gives Kapaun an 18-point lead. And looks like North able to respond rather well with the three-point shot. Let's see what Kapaun can do. Swing pass to Will Thingvall. And now Kapaun slowing it down a little bit here. Is that to, Sophia, do you think that's to maybe, catch their breath, or maybe Coach Eck wants to see a little bit more organized offense, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think part of the strategy in any game is just changing it up is important. You can't go 100% all the time, super fast-paced. And you also can't just go slow the whole time. And so Coach Eck is a very wise coach, and I think he trusts his team, and his team knows, the players know, time and situation. And obviously, they're up by quite a few right now, and so they don't need to force anything. It's good in the beginning that they came out with a punch, fast-paced, trying to get things going. But now just, looking to run that offense in no hurry.
And so here we go. We get back to the action. It looks like Kapaun will stay with the same lineup. And here we go. Wassel inbound gets it to Jackson. And Kapaun now with the press. I mean, we've seen them apply pressure, and now we kind of see that pressure drop off. But, Sophia, I mean, when you're playing as fast as basketball as Kapaun is right now, where does the press fall? Do you think that's a vital component of your game, or how do you feel about the press?
I think it's to speed North up. As we saw in the first quarter, North really struggle when they're sped up. They don't really set things up. And so I think that's part of the strategy for Kapaun with that press.
Now Corbin Johnson unable to gain control. And now North has it at the other end of the court. Now we'll see what McCoy can do as North sends the ball around the arc. A nice little runner, not going to be able to knock that one down. That was Selman on the attempt. And now Corbin Johnson on the little dump-off pass from Thingvall, unable to convert on the three-point shot. But now Jackson's floater not going to be good. And Sophia, I mean, a lot of these shots you see from North are well short of the rim. And I mean, not to harp on them too much, but is that confidence issue, or I mean, what do you think you can attribute that to?
I think just trying to do too much. They're like, oh, we got to score. We're down by a lot. Kind of like we mentioned, getting sped up, and so sometimes when you get sped up, you don't relax, and when you relax, that's when you make the best shots and get those points. And so I think that's part of it for North.
I'm right there with you, and it looks like Nathan Waging and Dominic Shibley were heading off the court, and as Waging picks up his first personal foul. Unfortunate situation. The ball is loose. You both hit the ground, and Nathan Waging just happened to be behind him, so he tries to do the wraparound, and that's always going to draw a foul, especially with the ref right there. And so Jackson in trouble, tries to get out the feet of Brooks Powers, but Brooks Powers hits it off the back of the head of Tegan Charles and then gathers himself, gets it back up to Tegan Charles, and Tegan Charles able to convert on the layup. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
A little unorthodox basketball, but regardless, we'll see North High head the other way with it. Down by 17. And now Tegan Charles with another turnover. And Brooks Powers goes up with it, able to convert on the layup. Wow. And we're seeing just an offensive explosion from the Crusaders here tonight, and they show no sign of stopping.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to their aggressiveness on the defensive end. Just causing those turnovers gives them easy layups, and that's what we saw a lot last year, Gabe. And I think that's part of the reason Kapaun was so successful as a team. You got to look at their defense first. Their defense really contributing to those run-out layups, and it's very helpful to get ahead.
I completely agree with that. Excuse me. And to go along with that, it's the telltale or the telltale tale. I was gonna say it's the saying that good defense turns into good offense, and so good offense stems from good defense.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Per example, there are a lot of good defensive plays turning into offensive scores at the other end of the court.
Yep, and then North still just straggling along there. It really is difficult against as good of a defensive team as the Crusaders. And, they just got to, take one play at a time, especially on the offensive end. Try to get something going that'll help them build a little bit of momentum.
And so here we go, coming out of the North timeout. They will have 3 remaining. But now Wassel surveys the defense, and North really trying to slow things down here, as we mentioned earlier. And it looks like they're playing a little more organized, doing a great job moving the ball, but the Crusaders doing a great job with the man defense. As now foul on the shot, as Max Keller picks up his second foul. He'll have to play a little bit more conservatively as we enter end of the first half.
Selman there doing a good job of creating a shot for himself. Nice little jumper there. Get him some free throws.
And now onto the court for the first time in his Kapaun career is Rocco Keller. Freshman was a phenom during his middle school career, and we'll see him for the first time on the high school court. And now Johnson finds Powers. Now inside pass to Dalian, and Dalian unable to convert, and looks like Keller Keller able to come down the rebound, but looks like Dalian was fouled on the first attempt, so he'll shoot 2 free throws.
And that'll go.
There we go. As McCoy re-enters the game for North High, and we see for the first time Judah Haywood for North High as well, number 45. Now Dalian unable to convert on the second attempt, but Will Thingvall able to get the rebound and put it back up for 2 points. And with that free throw, Kapaun now shooting 50% from the free throw line. Not exactly where you want to be, but not too horrible. But when it comes to shooting free throws, Sophia, what's your mentality?
You just got to tell yourself that you're going to make it. That's what I try to do. But, a lot of times there's a lot of adrenaline going, a lot of energy going. And, the free throw shot it's really not that far away. And so sometimes you think you got to give it more than you actually do. And it's just a nice little, soft shot that usually will get it to go.
And we're also unable to convert on the first attempt. And he, of course, is there because Corbin Johnson picked up his first foul. That'll be team foul number 8 for KMC Mt Carmel. That puts North well into the bonus. And now Jude Porter enters the game for Will Thingvall, as Wausau able to convert on the second attempt. And Jude Porter unable to get that ball. But interesting, as soon as one Porter leaves KMC Mt Carmel, you see one pop up.
Yeah, exactly. Jude Porter, younger brother of Luke Porter. Good to see him already getting some playing time on the varsity level. He's super quick guy, much like his brother, super aggressive.
And great pressure there applied by Corbin Johnson. That forces the turnover from McCoy. Because, he could have easily just let that ball roll and let McCoy gather it, but he applied pressure and forced McCoy out of bounds. And so great job there by the sophomore. And now McCoy picks up a foul.
So that'll send Johnson to the line for a 1-and-1.
As that'll be the 7th team foul for North High. And that will be McCoy's first personal. And now Johnson unable to convert on the first attempt. But now off the hands of Wausau, and Kapaun will have it under their own basket. It's now Johnson looking around, finds Jude Porter. Now back to Johnson. Johnson drives. Way up, going to be no good. Might have got some contact there, but no call. Is now Selman. Heads up the court. Dumps it off to Moore. Now passing the ball around. That's Haywood. Now Haywood takes one too many steps. And so KMC Mt Carmel will now have the ball up by 20 points as we enter the final 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the first half. And now Bo Dalian is not going to be able to get that one to go, but he will be fouled on the way up. And he will shoot 2 free throws.
Good job by him. Always aggressive on that baseline, attacking, trying to get that layup, draw that foul.
And first free throw up and no good. Rims out. And so now Dominic Shibley enters the game for Brooks Powers. Gives Powers a breather. And Porter able to get the rebound. And it looks to go off the foot of Haywood.
And now Charles coming in for Dalian.
And now 55 for North, Ivan Trento comes in. And it looks like a foul going to be committed. See who it's on. Looks like McCoy will pick up his second personal foul. It sends Johnson to the line for 1-and-1.
See if Johnson can knock this down.
He can.
There he goes.
Unable to knock down his first 1-and-1 attempt, but he'll get to shoot one more here. And there he goes. Kapaun now shooting 7 of 15 from the free throw line. And so just under
50%, yeah.
And so
Staying about the same.
Not horrible to start the season. I mean, we just kind of mentioned this earlier, but the free throw shooting is something that usually develops later on in the season. I mean, you even see this at the college level.
Yeah.
As you said earlier, I mean, early practices, early season, you're focused on getting, the fundamental offense, fundamental defensive schemes well organized and well ran, and so some of those intricacies like free throws are kind of take a back seat. But you usually see those percentages rise as you head into the later stages of the season. As Nathan Thingvall's three-point attempt going to be off the mark, but now Jude Porter with the rebound gives Kapaun a second opportunity. Now Rocco Keller with his first varsity shot. That'll be good from the three-point arc. Wow.
Rocco Keller, just a freshman.
I know. What a way to start off your Kapaun career.
Good for him.
Now here comes more and more drives. It's going to be blocked from behind, but no, it'd be out of bounds.
It's like Nathan Thingvall there, getting a hand on it.
Now Selman to inbound. Gets it out to Moore. Moore kicks it out to Huerta. Now we're just seeing North pass around the ball a little bit here, and foul going to be called by Tegan Charles. Or on Tegan Charles, excuse me. Be his first personal. Team foul number 10 for Kapaun Mt Carmel. And while that's very well spread throughout the whole roster, you got to think, Sophia. I mean, 10 personal fouls in the first half is not something you really want to see.
No, that is not good, especially, the crowd going crazy for Paul Bloomer as he checks in. But as you were saying, Gabe, 10 fouls, not good. Something you got to limit. Especially, later in the season as you continue playing those better teams, getting, good competition. You cannot be giving up 10 fouls, especially, this early on. Good thing, though, that Coach Eck has a, deep roster, and so he's got a lot of guys that he can put in.
Exactly right. And so now North trying to make something happen with 46 seconds left. And, you can't really say you're trying to get a 2-for-1 situation here just because, with the shot, there's no shot clock. But you got to be thinking, North might be looking to score quicker here so they can maybe get an extra possession. Regardless, Selman will be fouled by Nathan Thingvall. That'll be his first personal, team foul number 11. Selman able to convert on both his attempts last time out. And now able to knock down 3 in a row. Let's see if he can make it 4 in a row and bring the Kapaun lead to within 21.
Does just that.
And now Dominic Shibley gives up to Jude Porter. Porter loses it. And now in trouble, gathers himself and drives. Tries to get it inside, but that'll be off the hands of Huerta. And Huerta might have thought that was off of someone else, but it will stay on Kapaun's end.
Now Kyle Kea checking in for the Crusaders. Dominic Shibley heads to the bench.
Now Keller. Rocco Keller able to knock down another shot.
Going.
Gives him 5. Man, it really shows you the versatility of it. His first shot was a 3-point make, and his second shot was inside the interior, deep into the paint. And he was able to knock that one down as well. Through some contact even. As now Nathan Thingvall picking up a foul in the final seconds. Not something you really want because that would have had to been a tough shot either way. But regardless, we will see Selman shoot 2 more free throws before the break.
And get him to go.
Gets 1 to go. Let's see what he can do with the second. Second one not so lucky.
Good.
And now Nathan Thingvall, full court shot.
Oh, close.
I believe hit the white square on the backboard, but regardless, Kapaun will head into the break up by 22. And it definitely will have another exciting half of basketball in store when they return. Well, In the meantime, we will have the KMC Palmies perform, and me and Sophia will step aside and join you in about 15 minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kapaun Mt Carmel for the second half of action in Kapaun Mt Carmel versus North High. And so we will get right back into the action here.
Kapaun with a 22-point lead. They have 37, North with 15. And it will be North ball to start off.
And now North trying to move things around, get things going. Offensively, only putting up 15 points in the first half. Sophia, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, Kapaun's defense, as we keep drilling, is they're really making North pick up the pace. And it's hard to get a shot off when, you're frantic and rushed, to get a good shot off. And so I think that's partly the issue. They did get a few free throws, though, which has been really good for them to try to get some points on the board.
And so now we see Hopping, moving things around for North. And on the corner, that's Huerta. And now from the three-point line, that is McCoy. McCoy able to knock down a three-point shot. And so here comes Kapaun once again. And Johnson dumps off to Shibley. Shibley dumps off to Charles. Now back out to Shibley. And we still see Kapaun moving around the ball really well. As now Will Thingwell unable to come up with the rebound, but Corbin Johnson's there to gather it. And Sophia, we see Kapaun slowing things down, passing it around a little bit more. But opposed to the first time, it was going 100 miles per hour almost every possession. You think they're trying to, be more purposeful, more meticulous in their offense so Coach Eck can kind of see how things are running?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Gabe. It's good, depending on who you're playing, and with this huge lead, they have the opportunity to kind of see how they work, running that offense, like you said, and it's important to make sure they can execute when that is needed in future games.
Exactly right. And now Tegan Charles shoot the first free throws of the second half, and he's able to knock down the first one. We'll see what he can do with the second. Unable to knock down that one. And so here comes North. Selman works it around. Gets it over to Bonuelos. Now over to Hopping. Now back to Huerta. And, we talked about Kapaun slowing things down. It looks like North's doing the exact same thing. Trying to get back to the bases, run their offense, and really just try to get something going.
Yeah, I think that'll be helpful in them executing and, trying to get those shots up. That's, try to hack away at this lead.
And so now North still working around. And I think we're going to see more of this, more drawn-out possessions, and North down big. And so I think this is an opportunity for I'm not saying a comeback is completely out of the picture, but I think it's more of an opportunity for both sides to, maybe experiment with some offensive sets, really just see how their team is matching up against a live defense.
Yeah.
And so now Dominic Shibley able to knock down a three-point shot. Gives him 4 on the night. But Sophia, you just got done with a blowout win yourself. What's the mentality as a player when you're up big?
You're gonna try to go as hard as you can, even with that lead. And eventually, players, more in the fourth quarter, players will start to get subbed in. But you don't want to give up or let up is what I was looking for. In any scenario, because you got to play every game like it's close and keep working on what you can as a player and as a team, and that's really important. But like we kind of mentioned earlier, trying to work on those offensive sets is it's a great opportunity when you have a nice cushion lead.
And now poked out of bounds and off the side of Hopping, it looks like. So that'd be KMC ball. So now Maxwell Keller will check in for Dominic Shibley. And this third quarter flying by as we almost hit the midway mark. Not a lot of dead balls as Kapaun and North really playing slow possessions. As Johnson gets the entry pass to Tegan Charles. Tegan Charles not able to convert on the layup, but Maxwell Keller able to come down with it. Now Tegan Charles able to come up with a loose ball. His shot going to be off the mark. Now McCoy takes it down the other way. Gets it over to Selman. Selman pulls up from 3. That is good.
Good.
Brings the lead now back to 20. And now Charles will be fouled.
And for North, Selman having a pretty good game, trying to make some plays. You know, in the first half, we saw a lot of free throws from him, which were good, and now with that 3.
And Selman, of course, leading his team with 9 points. As Charles misses the first attempt. And unable to knock down that second attempt as well. Now a fight for the rebound. Ends up in a foul. And it looks like Huerta will be picking up his 4th. So he'll be in some foul trouble. And it looks like Trento will come in as a substitute.
And then Dalian also checking in for Charles, the Crusaders.
And now Keller goes up, unable to knock that one down. Unfortunate. Now Dalian able to knock that one down. Now Selman kicks out the Hopping. And foul going to be called on Dalian. Dalian?
Dalian. I have always known it as Dalian.
Dalian, okay. I'm always very bad about that.
Yeah. I played with his sister, and it was Dalian, so I assume. We should maybe ask him.
Probably should.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Probably should have done that before tonight.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
And now jump ball going to be called. Possession arrow gives it to Kapaun. And now Brooks Powers kicks it out to Tegan Charles. Dumps it off to William Thingvall. Now over the top to Tegan Charles. Nice little alley-oop play. Gives Tegan Charles another basket. Gives him 9 on the evening. And, of course, credit Will Thingvall with the assist. Now Jackson tries his luck from 3. Off the top of the backboard and in.
Bank is open.
Bank is indeed open. As now Kapaun goes the other way with it. Tegan Charles comes up for the screen. Corbin Johnson uses it for a mid-range jumper, which is good.
Good pull-up right there. That's one of those things guards, sometimes overlook, myself included, is that pull-up jumper is really good tool to have, especially when there's a big post down low. You got to have a pull-up. And
not a dunk, but a mid-range jumper from Will Thingvall is good. Wow. Max Keller really got up there. Shook the whole rim and basket. So, it probably does happen on almost every dunk. But, you get the point. Regardless, timeout going to be called by Wichita North. They'll have 2 remaining. And not the best basketball for North's end of the court.
Yeah. Not too bad. They only had 5 in the first quarter. Have 6 so far in this quarter, but it's one of those things. It's hard to get any momentum going when you go into halftime being down by so much. It is hard to try to get that momentum back. But, with the timeout here, hopefully they're trying to find some ways. Like you were saying, they're down by a lot, just to try to run their offense, execute some things, and that'll be helpful for their future games. It's the first game of the season, so you can't expect perfection from either team, really. And so, great learning opportunity.
Yeah, I think you said, during this stage of the season, I think it's pretty vital for both sides, not just North, but I think Kapaun especially as well. But to focus on North, I think this is a very big learning experience for them. I mean, down big, they're able to put in some players who maybe don't start, but get some solid varsity minutes. As Selman able to knock down that three-point shot, still having Kapaun lead by 22. So, again, not the ideal situation, but you get to see some JV talent, and now a steal goes the other way. Is Wassel able to convert on the layup? Maybe a miscommunication there, as Keller lets that one bounce off the back of his shoe.
Keller looking for Charles there, but it will be Kapaun's ball. And Shibley checking back into the game.
Now Tegan Charles pulls up, no good. Goes over to Jackson. And, it looks like North, for the most part, just looking to drain out some clock. So we're trying to run their offense, but I don't think they're going to be, trying to really get back in this game at any point now. And now Corbin Johnson goes up. Way up, going to be good, and one. As looks like Trento, maybe a little bit of contact there from behind. Sends Johnson to the line. Very good shooter from the three-point arc. Let's see what he can do from the stripe.
And looks like Haywood checking in for North. And also McCoy.
Now Johnson on his first attempt. Good.
Get that to go.
And so Kapaun really just trying to maintain that 20-point lead, get the running clock in the fourth quarter. Hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of the JV squad for Kapaun Mt Carmel. And, Wassel comes down hard. And foul going to be called on the floor. 51.7 seconds remaining. And now an awkward entry pass gets intercepted by Corbin Johnson. Now all the way down the court to Tegan Charles. Tegan Charles is fouled by Trento. And now Charles will head to the line. And so, you guys play again on Tuesday, December 6th. That, of course, will be streamed on KMC Journalism. And, of course, we'll be at Kapaun Mt Carmel. So come out and support girls and boys. But, what's the mentality after the big win, first game of the season?
Keep working. There's some adjustments. Came out a little slow. Something that can happen as we continue throughout the season. And so that'll be important. But, again, it was first game. And so there's some things that, I don't know, first game for anything. Like I said, not everything's going to be perfect.
And now Selman, I think someone kicking it around to Haywood. But to get to your guys' game, I think you guys played very well. Great job. I thought you guys played very selfless. You didn't have, of course, Romer and Jones had a good night. You as well had a good night. But I thought, your scoring came from a lot of different places, and that's something you want to see early on in the season.
Yeah, I agree. That'll be really crucial for our team throughout the entire season. And we came out hot in the second half, so that was important.
And now that'll end the third quarter of play as a couple of Kapaun fans start heading towards the exit as this one is all over but the shouting. So... but speaking of shouting, KMC student section here tonight, dressed in neon.
Yeah, big crowd, too.
Big crowd, very loud crowd. But, infamously Kapaun's student section, very loud, very hard to play against. But Sophia, as a player, do you feed from the crowd, or what do you think that impacts?
Yeah, I think the crowd is really important. During the COVID year, it was super hard playing games because only parents were allowed basically majority of the year. And so having that crowd is really important. It helps you get some energy up, momentum. It's just like having a sixth man on the court. backing you up, and it's great to see them all out here supporting KMC.
And now we'll head into the fourth quarter. And so now we see Wassel bringing it up. As Haywood kicks out to Wassel. Wassel trying to make something happen. I mean, it's still good to see the North players just, still putting out every effort they can. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but it's still good for these players to get experience between a live defense, especially a live defense as good as Kapaun Mt Carmel's.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Obviously tough, being down by this much, but they should see it as an opportunity to grow against a great defensive team.
Great job there by Dominic Shibley to keep his focus on the ball, able to come up with it and get a shot into the basket.
And
now
Dominic Shibley, excuse me, Gabe.
There you go. You're good.
Dominic Shibley had an ankle injury early in August, and so kind of dealt with that through football season. See, he's wearing a brace on that left ankle, but
man, great reverse layup by Wigging. Sorry.
Yeah, but as I was saying, he's been doing a good job playing through that. I know it still bugs him a little bit time to time, but those ankle injuries are tough ones. But good to see him playing hard.
And now Powers takes that for Kapaun. And now Selman kicks it over. And now that's going to be an over and a back, as it looks like McCoy was looking for Selman. A little bit of miscommunication there, But
yeah. Now Maxwell Keller checking in for Dominic Shibley.
And I assumed that there would be a running clock at this point, but it must be 30. 30 the running clock.
I guess. I don't know. I thought it was 20.
After the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But we'll see what Kapaun can do. And now Nathan Thingvall unable to knock down that shot. And Norris just working around. Where it hits Nathan Thingvall. But it looks like McCoy was able to gather it. Now his shot is rebounded and then a foul called.
And Hopping will head to the line.
And Hopping now gets the ball for his free throw attempts.
It's like no shot. Lane violation there.
And so now Powers brings it up. And Sophia, I think a big takeaway from Kapaun's game tonight, of course, their benches played very well because they played the majority of the minutes. But Kapaun has really done well on both ends of the court, even without the presence of Will Ancio.
Yeah.
So, that's a great sign that your team is well. It's diverse and it's deep, and it's not reliant on a single person.
Exactly. Oh, Wigging almost getting that layup to go.
Yeah, it would be a nasty reverse. Be out of bounds as Selman looking for McCoy there.
And Johnson now checking in for Powers.
Now Wigging checks it over to Nathan Thingvall. Now Corbin Johnson in. Johnson finds Wigging. Wigging with the reverse layup. This time
now
he's able
he
to
gets
cash
it
it
to
in.
go.
Foul going to be called on Wigging. Sends Wassel to the line. Still not quite at that 30-point mark.
Still stopping the clock. I don't know. We'll have to look into that, Gabe.
But that gives Wigging his second personal foul. And now Kyle Kim, Rocco Keller, and Jude Porter head on for Nathan Wigging, Maxwell Keller, and Corbin Johnson.
And the student section chanting for Paul Bloomer.
Yeah.
Trying to get him in there.
Big Bird. Get him in there.
Yep.
Oh, get the rebound. Oh, sorry. On my bias. Jude Porter brings it up for Kapaun Mt Carmel. And now Bo Dalian able to get underneath the basket with a little bit of chaos. But, we fouled underneath the basket, so Kapaun will have the ball. Maybe looking to get a three-point shot.
Yeah, to get that 30-point lead.
But regardless, Kapaun playing phenomenal basketball here tonight.
Yeah.
Now, Thingvall drives, finds Jude Porter. Jude Porter for three. And now Rocco Keller underneath the basket finds
there
it.
There he goes.
7 points in his KMC opener. Man.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. Sophia, how many did you score in your opener as a freshman?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I just remember it was at Northwest.
Did you score?
I did score. I also remember, though, missing a wide open layup.
Oh,
So that was, that was always fun.
And now Nathan Thingvall will get called for a foul. And Wassel will head to the line once again for 2 shots.
He will not get that to go.
And that one off the mark as well. Now Kapaun heading the other way.
And Bo Dalian
able to convert, and that gives Kapaun a 32-point lead. So there we go.
we'll see. Porter with the rebound.
And now Porter brings it up. Kicks over to Rocco Keller. Now Nathan Thingvall. Nathan Thingvall for three. That is no good. Rebounded by Rocco Keller, who took some contact and couldn't quite bring in the rebound. Now Wassel stripped by Porter. Great defensive effort there. And now Nathan Thingvall able to convert on the other end of the floor. And timeout by Wichita Northwest. Or Wichita North, sorry.
Looks like sub exchange. And now Paul Bloomer is coming in.
Boom dog.
Oh, we got the whole crew. Whole crew coming in. Looks like Paul Bloomer, Peyton Gosh, Mason Collins. I know the other one. Or the other two.
Corey Daniels.
And then Gabe Adams, I think.
Gabe Adams.
Yeah, there we go.
Adams actually wearing Antio's number tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And travel going to be called on Corey Daniels.
There's the clock.
As now 2 minutes remain in the basketball game. And Sophia, what's one of your favorite moments going up against Wichita North?
This game or in general? All of my years?
All the years.
My freshman year, it was a game at North, but they were doing construction on the new gym, so we were in the old gym, which is like an old-style gym where there's like seats all around, stadium-style type of thing. And I remember this girl on North attempting to punch Claire Bruning.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so that was exciting as a freshman to witness, be on the court with that.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, I thought a brawl was going to break out, but...
You think you would be able to hold your own?
Yeah, I was ready, but Coach Graff told us not to take any hit or hit anybody.
Not take anything. So
well, no, we could take not to hit anybody back.
Not to.
So yeah.
Not to rebuttal.
Which is kind of yeah. I don't want to hit anybody, but.
But you're ready.
Yeah.
The 5-time state champ is ready.
Yeah, I was.
So now, Bloomer on the inside. Bloomer working in the post. It'll be a foul called on the floor. As the final 30 seconds tick away, Bloomer will head to the line. See if he can improve Kapaun's shooting percentage here, as currently they shoot 9 for 23. There's
and
one.
Bloomer.
That make that 10 for 24.
And
Second one good as well. Man, the student section loving that one. And that one no good. That ends the game. Final score going to be 68-33.
That was your Kapaun Crusaders versus North High.
And join us next week, Tuesday, December 6th. That's the month we're in right now.
Yeah.
For Southeast, Kapaun versus Southeast here at Kapaun Mt Carmel. So tune in for that. But for now, have a lovely weekend. And from Kapaun Mt Carmel, I've been Gabe Breidenbach.